What is your idea of a good horror movie? Is it a scary psychological nightmare? Is it a plain old slasher film or a creature feature that features a lot of creatures of sorts? Could it have in-depth character backstories and portrayals with realistic, thought-provoking narratives? Or could it be the pieces of crap that I'm going to be covering today? So recently I've been thinking about crappy B horror films, as one does, and my mind almost immediately went to, how can I make a video out of this? So I gathered a bunch of suggestions from my friends and looked around the internet to find some movies, and I picked out 3 that I'm going to be talking about today. I'm not going to tell you the names of the movies just yet for suspense purposes. I'm going to be covering the events of each movie and if they were scary, entertaining, or good or not, and also some trivia about the movies along the way. So enough annoying babbling from me, let's get right into it. The first movie that we will be taking a look at tonight is Dead Clowns. The movie was made in 2003 by Crypt Keeper Films and is now owned by Lionsgate. Of course it is. Let me tell you, as soon as you see Lionsgate, you know you're in for a rough ride. The movie was directed by Steve Seasons, and he's also known for other films like A Knife in the Dark, Dark Zone 13, and Zombie Piranhas. Whatever the hell that movie is. Probably gonna have to make a video on that one sometime. As you can tell, he makes nothing but crappy B-grade, if not downright C-grade horror films, and he's been doing this for quite a while. His latest movie, A Knife in the Dark, came out in 2024, and the first movie he ever made, Gut Pile, was made in 1998. Now, the only way to watch this movie is either by buying a copy of a DVD off eBay or Amazon, which if you think I'm gonna waste money like that, you're funny. Or watching a free YouTube upload that someone made with Spanish subtitles, which is the one that I watched. Aside from that, there isn't much information on this movie at all. Nothing about Crypt Keeper Films, nothing about the production behind it, and not even being available on streaming services or live TV. That's how obscure this movie is. I did take a look at the DVD for the movie on Amazon and found some funny stuff like these meaningless reviews saying such things as one of the most effective indie horror films that I've seen in years, or gory zombie flick, or lots of gore. The clowns on the cover don't even look like the clowns in the movie. The clowns in the actual movie look like they just took a Spirit Halloween zombie mask and put clown makeup on it, as if the director found it, thought he could make a cool movie out of it, and called it a day. I apologize if the movie looks like crap. This is the best thing I could find for it. There will also be Spanish subtitles popping in every now and then. Let's talk about the actual movie itself. The movie opens up with us getting a view of a small tourist town in Florida, while what I assume is a stock rock song plays in the background. We then see a man battening down his windows preparing for an oncoming hurricane. We then cut to a man in a wheelchair building a puzzle, which I swear this is the only character they ever gave a name for this movie, and his name is Timmy. This movie moves really slowly, so I'm going to be skipping over a bunch of meaningless stuff and filler scenes, because they do not add anything whatsoever. We then cut to a teenager working a security job and talking about how he's going to do drugs and get fucked up. Oh yeah, another thing in this movie is really edgy, so be prepared for a lot of goofy angst in this movie. Then we see a couple staying in a motel to wait out the storm, so they can continue driving to the spot that the wife grew up in. She starts talking about how in 1954, a circus train was coming into town on a train bridge during a hurricane, and the train somehow crashed into the bay, and the whole town collectively forgot about this event somehow. We then cut to a bunch of other characters doing their own thing that they'll probably come back to at some point. We cut back and forth between them and the couple talking. The wife is talking about how they attempted to search for the train many times, which they had been unsuccessful in that endeavor. The clowns are still down there apparently, and legend has it you can still hear the sounds of them moving under the water. We look at the storm outside, which makes sense, this takes place in Florida. The movie then cuts to some random woman listening to a radio as she then hears circus music and turns down the radio to listen. The movie then cuts to under the water where we see a clown rising up from the muck and start slowly shambling his way up to the shore. We then cut back to the security guard as he makes his way to the bathroom and starts huffing up a line of the funny white sugar in front of the bathroom sink. We then again cut to some random blonde woman as she hears the circus music and comes in contact with the zombie clowns, which yeah, again, the clowns look nothing like the box art. The box art clowns just look like fat dudes in clown makeup. Anyway, she runs away as she gets cornered up the stairs and into a room, locking herself in. The clowns start breaking down the door with what I think is a radio as she tries to move back into the closet. But a clown is already waiting for her in there, freaky little bastard, and she is presumably killed. Another thing with this movie, the actors show little to no emotion, like at all. They also show no sense of urgency either. They'll usually just take it and die like a good boy, or try slowly walking away. The clowns themselves aren't even that fast, and you can easily outrun them. There is construction going on outside my house, and they're really annoying, so if you hear banging outside, that's probably why. I really hope that it's not being picked up right now. Another funny thing is that I guess the person recording this movie was fiddling with their devices, so you can hear the little noises of stuff being reconnected and disconnected. It kind of gaslit me to think that something was wrong with my devices, but no, it was just the video. We then cut to an edgy shithead driving a car through the storm with his clingy bitch of a girlfriend. At least I think it's his girlfriend. We then cut to some random girl as the power goes out in her house, despite the fact that the hallway light behind her is still on, which is a pretty funny oversight there. This movie cuts yet again to the couple from before in their hotel room watching the news. The wife goes to take her contacts out as the husband goes to bed. While the wife is taking her contacts out, she hears some weird deep groaning sound behind her. Thinking it's her husband somehow, she calls out but gets no answer, and then she drops her glasses like Velma from Scooby-Doo and reaches down for them, but one of the clowns stands in front of her as she asks, "Who's there?" Then leans up and gets whacked in the head by a ball peen hammer. The husband also presumably dies. The movie then cuts back to Timmy slowly maneuvering around his house with this big ass flashlight since his power went out. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention his power went out. He lights up a candle for some reason as he turns seeing one of the clowns trying to enter his house. Now see, Timmy here, unlike all the other characters in this movie, actually is an Alpha Chad Sigma male and somewhat has actual survival instincts and rolls himself into the closet. But the clowns figure out where he is and starts breaking down the obviously cardboard door with an axe. As circus music plays again for some reason. The circus music I don't think is ever explained. It's just kind of there. Timmy finds a drill in there and actually fights back, drilling the clown's hand while he's trying to open the door. The movie blue balls us and cuts back to Mr. Loser Lounge as the girl says they need to pull over soon because the storm is getting worse outside. So they do decide to pull over at some random person's house and break down the door and just kind of enter the house. Edgy guy breaks in through the back door and unlocks the front door so the girl can walk in, which like, couldn't you both come in through the back door? Like, there was no reason for all that. Anyways, they pull out a camcorder and they both look at footage of Edgy Guy shooting some rando in the head. She basically says, "Oh, you look so cool in this, babe." God, these bastards were screwed from the start. Anyways, they both hear something as the guy goes to check who it is. He then finds the homeowner of the house they just broken into in the closet. She runs out and lightly slits him on the head and runs away, tripping on something for some reason, then getting up and being hit by the girl with what I think is a big shell. Boy Toy runs out and smacks the homeowner in the head with his pistol and wipes his blood off his face, which funny enough, there's no slash on his head at all. So they now have the random lady tied up and start looking through her stuff. Then the woman starts talking about how the clowns are coming back and they're mad that people forgot about them or some shit. I don't know, this movie doesn't seem to care either. Anyways, we cut to the clowns eating some nice juicy flesh. Then we come back to the woman talking about the clowns, and Super Tubular Dude calls her crazy, and they both walk off for a moment. Then one of the clowns busts in, kills the random woman while she is still restrained. The two walk in and see her body, then the power goes off for a moment, and when it comes back on, there's a clown cornering the dude's girlfriend in the kitchen. The guy aims his gun at the clown and decides to not shoot for some reason, which, like, bro, you could have just shot the thing, but whatever, man. Just don't save your girlfriend, I guess. The emo guy makes his heroic escape while his girlfriend heroically gets her eyeballs poked out by a steak thermometer. For some reason, circus music is playing during this too, which I don't know if the movie's trying to be self-aware or if it's just like trying to, I don't know. Coming back to Timmy, he's making his way to a hallway as he comes across his mortal enemy, Stairs. He decides it's not worth the trouble trying to go down them and heads back, as he then gets the smartest idea anybody in this movie has ever had and decides to hide in the vent air duct thing. As he tries to make his way there, we see a crappy plastic skeleton leg from Spirit Halloween walking forward, which looks absolutely hilarious. He makes it in there just in time as a clown passes by. Cutting back to the random woman, the door to her house is open and she tries to push it closed, which he succeeds in. But she notices a circus poster that blew in from outside, and who's that behind her? She walks away, turning around and seeing the clown behind her, then lightly jogging into the bathroom. The clown then walks in because I guess she forgot to lock the door for some reason, and she takes a light jaunt away. We cut back to Timmy once again, still in the air duct, as he watches what I presume is his dad get tickled to death by the clowns. We cut once again back to the security guard, as he's now in some sort of place that is under construction, as stuff starts falling from the ceiling, and a literal plank of wood falls on him, and I guess he's trapped, even though he could probably very easily push that off. We cut back once again to the random woman who is now hiding under her stairs in her basement, since the clowns are searching for her. We cut yet again back to the security guard as he sees what he presumes is someone coming to help him, but turns out it is a clown. He starts to mutter to himself, "This isn't real," and we watch as the clown cuts off his hand as he silently screams over it. Seriously, there's no sound aside from wind during this part. I have no clue what the thought process here was. Anyways, we cut back to Timmy as we see him get out of his little space. For some reason, like I would personally just stay in there, which obviously was a pretty dumb decision because he gets disemboweled by all the clowns. Then we get to watch the clowns play patty cake with his stomach spaghetti for a little bit. We then cut back to Mr. Edgelord as he breaks into yet another person's house, but the homeowner has already been killed by the clowns, so it doesn't really matter either way. Fartface then sees a clown eating some flesh as the clown turns around, notices him, and then goes back to eating his midnight snack. Then Poopy Butt finally uses his gun and puts the clown down, which he could have done earlier with his girlfriend, but whatever, I guess she was just an object to him. He then stumbles across a woman with a shotgun. As she is relieved to see another human, she asks, "What can we do?" Then the guy starts to write on a sign, "You will not be forgotten," or something stupid like that, I don't know. He then heads outside with the sign as the clowns watch him. And then we get blue-balled because the person who uploaded the video, I guess, messed with his stuff too much and it froze the entire movie, making it so I can't see the rest of it. That's okay though, because apparently the ending is just they all die, and that's it. So, not really missing out on much. It's dead clowns at the end of the day. I'm not wasting my time with this movie anymore. So I think I'll just give my final thoughts on the movie now. So overall, this movie was just kind of there and mid. Half of it was sort of fun and bad, and the other half was just really boring. There are some funny, stupid moments in the movie, but most of it is just filler. Again, I just cut a lot of parts out from the movie because they're just not worth talking about. A lot of the times the characters in the movie kind of just walk around aimlessly, looking confused, and do absolutely nothing extremely slowly. The clowns themselves are also not that big of a threat, and the only reason why they killed as many people as they did in the movie is because the characters are just fucking stupid. The clowns can also be killed by one gunshot, so there's that as well. I don't know if this movie was trying to take itself seriously or not. The circus music made me think that it wasn't, but most of the time it did felt like it was trying to take itself a little seriously, which I don't really care for. I'm not quite sure. The movie also has some weird auditory stuff going on with it. Characters will scream but no sound will come out. Stock music will constantly be playing through the whole movie. There's wind blowing constantly through the whole thing, and characters will sound like they'll be talking in a different room entirely, even though they are right in front of us. The story as well is just kind of meh. It's just kind of a get on to the next scene kind of movie. I don't really think I'd recommend this movie whatsoever. There are some funny parts there, but it's mostly just fluff and it's not really worth anyone's time. But with all that being said, let's get into the second piece of shit in this video. The next movie we will be talking about is Slotherhouse. Yeah, I ain't even gonna beat around the bush here. This movie is terrible, but I'll get into that in a bit. I also didn't get much good footage of the movie. I'm just gonna be relying on pictures and trailer footage, as well as some other movie clips that I found on YouTube. This movie was directed by Matthew Goodhue, if that's how you say it. Goodhue, and was written by Bradley Fowler, Sandy Lanigan, if that's even how you say it. I don't know, these names suck. It was released in 2023 and is supposed to be a horror comedy. The only other interesting thing worth noting about this movie is that PETA endorsed it, Which, of course they did. Anyways, let's get into the actual movie now. The movie starts out in a rainforest where we see a totally not puppet sloth climbing around on a tree, and then immediately getting grabbed by a crocodile, or an alligator. Then we see the same sloth that broke out of the alligator, I guess, being tranquilized by some hunters, which then they put it into a sack. Then we see the alligator from earlier with a giant scratch mark across its back, which I guess the sloth killed the alligator. We then get introduced to our main characters, which have generic names that I'm never gonna remember. This movie also does this thing where when they introduce a new character, they'll show their social media profiles and follower numbers. I really despise it when movies do that. It always just felt out of touch as hell to me. Anyways, these characters just got out of college, I think, and they're going to become sorority girls. This movie follows sorority girls. God damn it. Anyways, the main girl meets some weird dude that offers to sell her a sloth, and then she takes a selfie with the weird dude, posts it on her social media, and then she goes to the campus and meet a bunch of terrible characters that all suck. We see the main girl with her annoying friend and other friend, or I think that's her sister? I'm not quite sure, as she reminisces about stuff and looks to become president of whatever, I don't remember. Then our main girl is staring out a window when some dude walks in completely unannounced and she hits him, and her other friend comes out and kicks him in the balls. And then they realize who it is. The only real reason I bring this up is because I wanted to mention how terrible the one friend's acting is. She tries to put on this weird dude frat voice, I think, the whole movie, and I don't really get it. Also, the sorority campus, I think that's what it's called. I'm not a sorority girl, alright? It's called Sigma Lambda Theta. No, I am not joking. Hey, editing me here. After a little bit more research, I realized Sigma, Lambda, Theta, whatever, that's what sororities and frats are actually called in the real world. I did not know that. Maybe I'm just stupid and this is common knowledge. It probably is, and that's just me, but yeah, I thought the movie made that up. It did not, so yeah, but I'll throw it back to past me now, so take it away. We then cut back to the weird guy from earlier, as he's apparently an illegal animal seller, as he apparently captures animals illegally and sells them online. Who would have guessed? And he picks up the sloth that he just gave pills to, and I think flicked a cigarette at him or something, and the sloth kills him. Anyways, we see our main girl has came to pick up the sloth from the house, because I guess she was interested in it now. And she walks into the house of the guy who was just killed and finds the sloth. We also see the silhouette of this tiger panther thing roaring at them or something, and her and the sloth leave and go back to the campus. Main girl takes the sloth inside in a box and tries to take him upstairs, but evil mean girl that's supposed to be opposing her or something asks her what's in the box, and then they start fighting over it as they drop the box down the stairs, and the sloth climbs out. And now the whole sorority knows that main girl tried to smuggle in a sloth. Which, take a shot every time I say sloth in this video. You will probably die. Which it doesn't matter, because the sloth has now become the new house mascot. And our main girl also announces that she's going to be running for campus president against Mean Girl. We then see our main girl messing around with the sloth as her friend walks into the room, telling her that she cannot keep the sloth and she should send it back to the original home, and she shouldn't use it for publicity. She of course doesn't listen, and the movie cuts to Mean Girl having some sort of group chat, trying to figure out who in her group liked the sloth or something. She then blames some random blonde girl and tells her to get rid of the sloth. We then get some scenes of the girls hanging around the sloth, which they apparently named Alpha. We then cut to the night of the candidate mixer party, whatever that is, as we see our main girl looking at her laptop that shows an article about the exotic animal guy from earlier, and a note on her laptop telling her to take the sloth back, presumably left by her sister, friend thing. She of course once again ignores her, as we get a scene of the sloth somehow using the laptop and finding a picture of our main girl with the weird exotic animal guy from earlier. And I guess that's what pisses the sloth off. We then cut back to the party, and the mean girl tells blonde girl to get rid of the sloth. Long story short, she does, and she leaves the sloth outside. We then see her go to grab condoms, I think. While she's looking for them, we see her set down her drink, and I guess the sloth somehow made its way back inside and spiked her drink with something. And blonde girl takes a sip and becomes a blonde victim, as the sloth very slowly and stupidly makes its way over towards her, and the sloth kills her. We then get to see a montage of the sloth killing a bunch of random people for no reason. Like, I don't know why the sloth is killing these people, because they didn't really do anything, but whatever. I also don't get how people are dying to this fucking sloth so easily, but who am I to question this stupid ass movie? After all that, it's election day, and the friend and our main girl are fighting over the sloth once again. The friend saying that the sloth belongs in the wild, and the main girl saying that she needs the sloth for like clout or something. The sloth then throws the friend's phone in the road. The friend goes to grab it and gets hit by a car, which I guess this was premeditated by the sloth. The movie then cuts to the friend and our main girl in the hospital. Our main girl basically goes on this whole spiel about stupid shit that I don't give a crap about, as we get more scenes of the sloth killing people. We then cut to ceremony night, in which all the people are dressed up in these red occult robes. Which, don't quote me on this, because again, I'm obviously not a sorority girl, but I don't think this happens at all. Like, I don't know why they're dressed like this. Our main girl wins and becomes the campus president, and they all have a subsequent party. During the ceremony and party, we see the sloth driving a goddamn car to the hospital that the main girl's friend is at, and the sloth pulls the plug on whatever life support thing she was on, and takes a fucking selfie with her, with the hashtag killer sloth animal attack and last selfie. God, I hate this movie. The sloth basically tries to smother her with a pillow afterwards. After that, the mean girl finds a corpse of one of the sorority girls in a bathtub, and our main girl walks in on her getting strangled by the sloth. The main girl hits the sloth with, I think, a book, and her and the mean girl both go to hide in the bathroom, and they both see the corpse and start screaming. Which, yeah, there's a lot of annoying screaming in this movie, especially around the end. The both of them start arguing in the bathroom, and they decide to grab the gun. So they both head out and immediately see the sloth. The sloth jumps at main girl, and she hits it with a septic tank lid, knocking it out a window. Mean girl pussies out and hides in the bathroom. Our main girl then searches around for the gun, and eventually finds it. We then cut to the rest of the girls playing some shower game or whatever, which now that I think about it sounds wrong. And the sloth somehow makes its way in and turns the water to scalding hot and gives some girl third-degree burns or something, as well as lighting the place on fire with electricity. We then cut back to our main girl, and long story short, she somehow drops the gun while getting chased by the sloth. Main girl then locks herself in a room as the sloth tries to break in. We then see the instructor lady, which I neglected to mention because she just hasn't done anything meaningful this entire movie, waking up from her drunken slumber like a bear waking up from hibernation. She wakes up, sees the sloth, and pounds it into the ground. Then she finds our main girl hiding in the room. She tells her to come out, and then the sloth comes back and slits her across the stomach. And then the instructor comes in the room and starts dying on the floor. She also tries to give this long-winded speech or whatever while she's dying that I think was supposed to be funny, but it just came across as really boring and unneeded. After a bunch of scenes that I don't feel like mentioning because they're just kind of worthless, our big group all meets up, which consists of the main girl, the mean girl, the annoying friend, and the guy boy that got his nuts kicked from earlier. Also, the annoying friend has katanas for some reason. The sloth shows up and the annoying friend throws a bunch of knives at it, all missing, and plunges a katana through its stomach, but the sloth also got a hit on the annoying friend, I guess. Everything seems fine and dandy afterwards, but oh shit, the sloth gets back up holding a katana. But before the sloth could do anything with that katana, our main girl's friend that we thought got killed by the sloth, but I guess she didn't, comes out with a gun, which I guess she came all the way from the hospital and picked up the gun from earlier. She shoots the sloth. Now the big group minus Mean Girl, because I guess she got scared and ran away, are about to leave before our main girl decides to go back for Mean Girl. Guy boy says, "No, it's a Slotherhouse," which made me slam my fist against my desk so fucking hard my hand hurt. Anyways, Mean Girl goes back, immediately sees Mean Girl with the sloth on her, which I guess is still alive after 7 fucking bullet wounds on her head as she puts down the weapons, which I don't know why she would do that. I guess she wanted a fair fight, but like, just shoot the thing. The sloth jumps on main girl's head and mean girl pussies out once again. Main girl stabs the sloth with the tiara that the sloth was wearing. Our main girl sees the sloth one more time and is about to shoot it before the sloth points towards a picture of like a rainforest or something and finally dies. After multiple bludgeoning, stabs, and gunshots. Like, I feel like the sloth wouldn't be able to survive all of that, but whatever. There's some stuff after that, but I don't really feel like mentioning that because I'm already so done with this stupid ass movie. So that was Slotherhouse, and I'm gonna be honest, this was one of the worst horror movies I've seen in a bit. This movie was trying to be funny. This movie was trying to be bad, but it just came across as really embarrassing and it tried way too hard. There are so many nothing scenes in this movie, and so many nothing characters that I didn't even bring up, that if all of that were cut out of this movie, the movie would be like 30 minutes. This movie also tries to send out this message about animal poaching and the dangers of meddling with wildlife, as well as trying to tell a message about like clout chasing or something, but it just came off as really forced and tacked on to just get Peter to jerk off. I also don't think Slotherhouse of all movies was the right movie to be telling me this. Overall, this movie was bland, boring, and bad, and I don't recommend wasting your time with this. It's not even good in a funny bad way, it's just not good. You're not gonna find any enjoyment with this at all. Not with friends, not by yourself, not with anybody. But I don't want this video to end on a really low note, so let's get into the third and final movie for tonight, shall we? Abraham Lincoln vs. Zombies was released in 2012 and was made by The Asylum, which if you don't know who they are somehow, they basically put out dumpster fire shit movies pretty much all the time, every year, every month. They're most well known for creating Sharknado, which I'll probably do a video on at some point. They're like, what, 8 of those movies somehow? Anyways, the movie was produced by Richard Sketchman, I think I'm saying that right, and was written by Carl T. Hirsch, whatever, this last name sucks, and Loren Proctor, and the fact that this movie has more than one writer is beyond me. It also somehow had a budget of $150,000 and has an IMDb rating of 3.2. But enough dilly-dallying around here, let's get into the actual movie now. The movie starts with a young Abraham Lincoln chopping wood, then hearing a gunshot, and running into his house finding his dad bleeding because I guess he couldn't kill his now zombified wife. Young Abraham picks up a scythe and cuts the mom's head off, giving us our cold opening. We then cut to now President Lincoln talking to what I think is his daughter about him going to give his Gettysburg Address. Then Abraham Lincoln goes to talk to this one old fart about how there's apparently this crazy guy talking about walking dead men. By the way, in this scene you can also hear an ambulance in the background.
Can't send more men till we understand what happened.
We then go to the fort where the supposed crazy guy is being held. We then see Abraham Lincoln and the old fart go into the same cell as the crazy guy, as we see the crazy guy convulsing while being restrained on a bed, talking about how everyone in his team died and the zombies ate their flesh. Abraham Lincoln talks about how he should put together a small fleet to go to a Confederate fort to find out where this infection came from. Either that or stop the infection entirely. We then see the crazy guy go full zombie alpha mode and break out of his restraints, killing some random dude, then killing another dude, then Abraham Lincoln kills the zombie. We then see Abraham Lincoln with his newfound crew break into the fort. They then start getting shot at by Confederate soldiers. While the firefight is happening, a zombie just kind of nonchalantly strolls in and kills one of the dudes on Abraham Lincoln's team, because I guess he thought he was like a normal sick guy. Abraham Lincoln kills the zombie that was attacking the guy, but then also kills the guy too, because he was infected. The rest of his crew are confused and John Wilkinson says,
Sir, how could you?
Then a bunch of zombies waddle on in and they start wrestling and duking it out with the zombies. Abraham Lincoln then groups them all together, asking if they were bitten or scratched, then they all barricade the door. They then all make their way down to the cellar of the fort, finding a few Confederate soldiers and fucking Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson, the Stonewall Jackson of the Confederacy down there. This movie is already fucking stupid. One of them fires at Abraham Lincoln, and Mr. Chamberlain, the fat blonde guy, goes and beats the ever-loving shit out of him, which another thing about Mr. Chamberlain, he's a pretty funny character. He acts with so much passion towards Abraham Lincoln and just so much like, I don't even know how to put it, it's just really funny. You'll get it if you watch the movie. Anyways, Abraham Lincoln and General Jackson are talking to each other, and Jackson says he murdered those poor sick Confederate soldiers, like the zombies, that were just looking for a shelter even though they were zombies. We also get this funny scene.
under the rules of
You will
engagement...
watch your tone with the president, sir.
And you will watch your tone with the general.
Stay your hand, Mr. Chamberlain.
We then see a scene where Abraham Lincoln's talking to all of his men on what they should do. Mr. Brown, the black dude, talks about how these are zombies, and his mom told him that zombies were corpses brought back to life via witchcraft, but they were more used as slaves, and not this. Mr. Wilkinson behind him says, "I prefer regular slaves." He says this to the black guy, and this is taking place during the Civil War. There's also some pretty funny bad audio stuff in this scene too.
We must do our work in utmost silence.
The slightest noise, including gunfire.
Abraham Lincoln mentions that apparently noise is what sets the zombies off, so they have to be very quiet. We then see them just walk through a field of them without any trouble. The zombies just kind of stand there idly. We then see John Wilkinson and this one guy walk into a building to go find some stuff, I guess. And the guy asks Wilkinson, what does he do for a living? John Wilkinson says he does theater. Random guy gets killed right afterwards, and John Wilkinson runs out of the building. We then see them making their escape away from the zombies into a house. And in that house, one guy immediately gets shot in the leg through the floorboards by someone. They go downstairs to investigate who shot them, and find a couple of sex workers and a child. We also get this funny scene here too.
Abe?
Yes, I am Abraham Lincoln.
The black-haired lady, her name is Mary, slaps Abraham Lincoln across the face because apparently they knew each other once upon a time. They used to be like lovers or some shit. They all plan to go back outside the fort, and Abraham Lincoln gives the child the utmost honor of carrying a big stick. We then get this absolutely gorgeous shot of this faded as hell zombie. Anyways, they get into a scuffle on their way back, and white dress lady, like a 17-year-old dog with a blown out hip, because she's been bitten. Which she kinda just stood there and did nothing. Like, even the kid did more than she did, so... cool. After all that, Abraham Lincoln has a conversation with Stonewall Jackson again about how these are in fact zombies and not sick men. Jackson disagrees. They go take a look outside at the zombie prisoner that they have captive. Abraham Lincoln talks about how when he was younger, this same disease ravaged his small town and he made it through it years before. Stonewall Jackson still refuses to cooperate. However, Corporal Garrett of the Confederacy tells him about a shed with a bunch of weapons that could help the Union men fight the zombies. After that, they go make their way to the shed, grab the tools they needed, and leave. But before they left, the chickens out there made a bunch of noise, and the zombies are now chasing them. Mary also gets scratched in the process. After that, Mary is now bedridden, and Abraham Lincoln gives a speech on how they're gonna kill as many zombies as possible. However, Mr. Wilkinson says that he will not support this anymore, since he thinks murdering innocent people is unjust, even though they are zombies. Mr. Wilkinson steps out, and then they all go to kill some zombies. We then come back to Mr. Wilkinson as he's now gone full villain mode, now talking about how Mary is just a whore and a harlot or something, and stands over her bed while she's sleeping, saying all this too. After that, Mr. Wilkinson goes down to the prison cell where they're holding that zombie captive, and he goes on this long monologue about random stuff. And it also turns out that he was a secret agent for the Confederacy and is actually John Wilkes Booth. I definitely saw the twist coming because it was hinted at a lot in this movie, but like, what the fuck? Anyways, he lets the zombie prisoner free because he thinks it's just a sick guy, and the zombie tries to kill him, so he then has to kill the zombie. We then come back to the gang taking down zombies and stuff, and Corporal Garrett and some other guy get into a scuffle because I don't know. I also think it's funny that Mr. Corporal Garrett over here has a very obviously fake mustache for this movie, but it's whatever. We then cut to Mr. Chamberlain and some other guy going up into a building, and Mr. Chamberlain gets surrounded by zombies and unfortunately killed by the zombies. The other guy is now stuck on the roof. This is a very funny scene though. After that, we see a few guys in a gravel pit wrestling with some zombies that came out of the gravel. They're gravel zombies. Anyways, all the guys get got by the zombies too. We also see the kid sitting on Abraham Lincoln's shoulder shooting over a wall, which is pretty funny. The movie then cuts back to the guy on the roof as he's trying to get down, but he ends up falling down, breaking his leg, and is surrounded by zombies. But he decides to take himself out rather than the zombies doing it for him. We also see some guy get ran over by a train for some reason. After all that, everybody makes their way back to the fort. We then see this scene where Abraham Lincoln is praying, and John Wilkes Booth tries to come up and stab him from behind, but I guess decides not to for some reason. Stonewall Jackson then shows Abraham Lincoln a small room with explosives, because I guess Jackson changed his mind. Lead all the zombies in with a few corpses into the room, as well as having an escape plan for when they blow the whole place up to eradicate all the zombies. Anyways, their plan mostly works. However, somebody steps on the fuse, so Stonewall Jackson wants to go and light it back up. He ends up getting eaten in the process, but does end up lighting the fuse. The entire fort blows up, and Abraham Lincoln and Mr. Brown make their escape on this zip line, which looks absolutely hilarious. Everybody groups back up. John Wilkes Booth finds out that Stonewall is dead and gets pissy and storms off. Turns out Mary is infected, which I totally didn't see that coming. Not in a million years. Obvious sarcasm aside, we cut to Abraham Lincoln giving his Gettysburg Address. After that, we get a scene where Abraham Lincoln is tending to a now zombified Mary as they're trying to research this virus so it doesn't happen again. Mary grabs a hold of Abraham Lincoln's arm, and then Lincoln has to put her down. We then cut to John Wilkes Booth getting a note, which he seems absolutely ecstatic about. It's probably like plans to kill Abraham Lincoln or something. I don't know. And after all that, the movie ends with Abraham Lincoln going into a theater. And that was Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies. Overall, I thought this movie was actually pretty enjoyable. It was stupid, funny, bad, and it immediately gets into the zombie stuff without even really wasting your time whatsoever. There is a story here, and I think it's somewhat decent enough to keep your attention, but it doesn't really get in the way of the actual zombie stuff. The movie is stupid, yeah, and there isn't a whole lot of substance outside of the goofy stuff, but if you're looking for a fun, stupid, bad movie to enjoy, I definitely recommend this one. The zombies weren't too big of a threat outside of just standing around, and I do find John Wilkes Booth's switch up really amusing, and it is definitely one of the better movies that we have talked about in this video. I've seen people complaining that it was too stupid or even boring, which I don't really see how this movie would be boring, but sure. And as for being too stupid, it's fucking Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies. You're getting what you asked for. I do think this is one of Asylum's better films. I don't even mind the crappy effects or audio errors that much. If anything, I think it adds to the experience. Hey, editing me here. So I did miss a few things in this movie. I'm just going to mention that before I wrap up the review and video here. So that random kid that I referred to as Kid the whole movie, that's actually supposed to be Theodore Roosevelt, apparently. The Confederate guy that helped Abraham Lincoln through the whole movie, he was a real guy named Pat Garretson, and he was most well known for killing Billy the Kid, I think it was. Yeah, so pretty cool. And as for the ending of the movie, I think I misinterpreted it a little bit incorrectly here. So I think what actually happened was that since Abraham Lincoln got scratched by Zombie Mary, he sent John Wilkes Booth a letter telling him that he needs to kill him or something, I guess. So if that's true, then that means Abraham Lincoln in this movie staged his own death, which is pretty crazy. Makes this movie even funnier if that's true. But yeah, I'll let past me finish off the video here, so yeah. But I do think it's time to wrap up the video now. As for how I would compare each movie to one another, I think Slotherhouse is by far the worst and shittiest out of all of these, and not in a good way. Dead Clowns was just kind of boring and mid, and Abraham Lincoln vs. Zombies was by far the most enjoyable one out of any of these, so definitely go watch that one. I know it's been quite a while since I posted, even though there's like probably 12 people that watch these, but I'm back, hopefully. I always love watching shitty horror movies. They're so genuinely entertaining to watch, it's funny. Maybe I'll do another video like this again sometime, but I think I'm done yapping for now. Thank you all for watching if you made it this far. I'll see you in the next one, and good night.